Hello there. Welcome to Paranormal Well, I would tell you that, but you're listening to Fate Mag Radio, the online voice of Fate Magazine. I am Kat Hobson, your host, and it has been such an exciting day because I knew that once I got home and got everything situated, I was going to get to have a conversation with a really great friend. And I'm right because Mikey Thompson is one of the best paranormal investigators that I have ever worked with. He is the founder of SCARS, South Carolina Apparition Research. I'm going to let him explain that to us because I don't have it in front of me. It's been a day. But Mikey Thompson is somebody that I have investigated with. We've been in Scotland several times. We were out at the Winchester House. He has investigated the old Paulding Jail, which y'all know is one of my favorite haunts in the world, and he loves it too. So, without further ado, let's bring Mikey on.
Hey,
Hi, hey boy, hey.
how are
So,
you?
oh, I am so good, and I know that this was a little bit of a challenge today, and I'm so glad to see you.
Yes, thank you for having me on again.
Thanks for being had again. You know, this is something that I could make be a habit because we enjoy each other's company so much. We enjoy working together so much. And I'm so thankful because Rick McCallum is who brought us together.
Yeah, that guy, it's
And
his fault.
he'll do. He will do in a crunch, right? I just am
Yes,
so glad to be his friend. And, you know, our background tonight is Loch Ness. And
yes,
there's a reason for that because we got to spend it felt like a second and then it felt like forever in Scotland because both of our hearts belong to it, right?
yeah, oh yeah,
And one of my favorite things about having been there was that we got to experience so many great groups of people this trip. We've talked about that. We've we're not going to go to the negative about, the previous trip. People know about that. But we were so cared for and and cared in turn for people. And one of the things that I have to thank you for is there's a lot of them. But when we were at Culloden, um, I don't know if you know, I got shot in the, I took a gut shot in Culloden, but everybody was just so into the whole experience that nobody really noticed what happened. And, you know, I was able to step away from there for a little bit and stuff. But there was a lot of physical interaction with spirits while we were there. And your Julie, got so involved in doing the interaction too. And when we were at Temple, which we have pictures that we're going to share from some of these places, it was unique and cool because I went and got her with the KT meter to come and help validate some of the things that I was feeling. And she was a champ with that KT meter.
yeah,
For
yeah,
somebody that came as an Outlander fan, not necessarily a paranormal person, to
right.
Scotland with us. And, and it was fun because I didn't realize a lot of the places we had been were part of Outlander.
Oh, I'm pretty sure everywhere we went had a little Outlander stamp on it.
It
So,
did. And,
yeah,
but I didn't realize that when we were there before either. It just blew my mind that this was something that was so special for her because of that.
yeah.
So I think that this tour coordinator went out of his way to make sure that everybody got what they were looking for in Scotland.
Oh yeah. This when we were there before. So Julie, my fiance Julie is a huge Outlander fan, and
I would
of
say,
course it's of course she says it's because of the landscapes, and the beauty of Scotland. It has nothing to do with Jamie Fraser or the actor portraying him, but no. So
Well, I will
when we
say
were
that
there,
that actor is pretty special. So,
he's all right. But when
um,
we were there, we were there the first time. She's like, "Oh my gosh, that's where Jamie this and this," and I was like, "Oh, here we go." So I took pictures of where we were. I'm like, "Look, there's Jamie," and did all that. So when this one came around, and when Rick invited us out, threw it out there. Um, I asked him, could I bring Julie along, and because she would love to see that side of it. She's not, the paranormal part of this has really been my thing.
yes, yes.
I kind of had to drag her along into this, but I used Outlander as the bait, and of course,
It was very
it
effective.
worked. Very
Very
effective.
effective
And
bait.
but it was perfect timing because our anniversary is on the 13th of June,
Yeah.
and we got there on the 10th. So I booked a whole day Outlander tour for our anniversary on our anniversary. So it was magical. And then again, like you mentioned before, Rick planning this thing for us to do with all of his connections, all the amazing people that he knows there in Scotland, and setting up all these amazing locations, went above and beyond, like you said, to
Yeah.
try to find things. He's like, well, if Julie likes Outlander, I know that this was filmed here and they did this here. Maybe I can talk to some people and get us over there while we're there and things like that. And he did. He just made it happen. So along with the Outlander tour that we did specifically, she basically had a whole nother side tour of Outlander stuff. Because, like I said, you can't go anywhere over there without Outlander have been, filmed or something there. So,
Yeah.
or some influence for the show there, and so it was great. It really, I mean, I miss it. I miss it so much already,
I
and
know. I
can't
saw
believe
your
it's.
video, and for people that don't know, we've been having some bad storms. We're still having bad storms here right now. So my downloads and uploads were giving me a hard time. My internet connection has been sketch. So I don't have the videos, but Mikey has the videos on his Facebook. And if you're not following Scars and Mikey Thompson, you're missing out anyway. So go find him. I've got some images from some of the places we were. And, there's just so much to share. But Mikey has the best video of things that you won't see anybody else have in Edinburgh. So
Yeah.
that's a little side secret, but it's cool. Hello, Lori Dorsey. And
Hey.
one of the things that I think matters is that it was just such a spectacular. Oh, we've got Tracy in chat too,
Yeah.
and
Hey, Tracy.
from Tombstone. So the Tombstone Puricon you were at, and you're really becoming so well known for your work. You've been Scars for how long?
Oh, we started Scars, what, 10 years ago now.
Hmm.
Just it was yeah, I needed to get into some places
Hmm.
that required a lot of insurance.
Right.
Um, so I found, some of these places wanted $1 million coverage to go into, and if you were to pay for one night of coverage for $1 million, I think back then some of it was like 10 grand or something.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way. So I was looking at different ways to do it, and one of the ways I found was if you had a business, or you could do insurance coverage a lot cheaper for your business, different things. So I thought, okay, what do I do? Well, if I'm going to do ghost hunting stuff, maybe I could just start a group
Right.
and have a website. That was the intent. It wasn't to, I wasn't planning on posting a lot of stuff. I just really selfishly wanted to get into these places, but it's kind of turned into, and then, so how do I form a group? Well, I have a bunch of friends in the medical field that are interested in paranormal, and so we would get together and go do things. And I thought, well, let's have a medical group. A medical paranormal group. And then I thought, well, what are we going to name it? Well, Scar. I mean, it's
Perfect.
medical. People come in with, and with cuts and bruises and end up with scars. And so it stands for SoCal, Southern California
SoCal.
Apparition Research Society. SoCal Apparition Research Society, with scars for short. That's how I did it. And then it ended up, we did some things together that we wanted to do. Our, schedules are horrible. Life happens. So trying to get everybody together has been real tough. We haven't done anything as a group in quite a long time, unfortunately. But that's, I had one of my co-founders' birthday was yesterday, and so we were hanging out, and he's like, man, we got to go ghost hunting again, so we're going to plan some stuff here in California with the group if we can get everybody together. But that's kind of how that all came about. And so it met its purpose as far as getting me into places and things like that. Like the main one was the Barstow Hospital that I worked at as an EMT for 11 years. They built a new hospital. Hey, Paul, how are you?
We miss Paul too.
Oh.
And for y'all who don't know, you can go to the Paranormal Experienced Facebook page. You can go to the WBHM Digital Broadcasting page. You can go to my personal LinkedIn, Kat Hobson, and you can go to, I think that's
Bannockburn House.
But Paul is from Bannockburn House, which was really and truly, for the appearance, I think that Bannockburn spoke to me the most. I thought everything there was beautiful. We got to see deer running when we were outside. It was the strongest interaction that I saw Lori have while we were there. Hello, Jamie Montgomery. So, hey girl, hey. We miss you too. But Bannockburn, for my money, was they were all astounding. I mean, but their Death Coat was so iconic. It was, we were so tired. We were so tired there. But, it was brilliant. It truly was a brilliant location. All of them were.
Paul took me to show me where the restrooms were out there, and you guys had been down in the basement. And so on the way back, we stopped off in some different areas, and there's one area that they're working on, and it's kind of blocked off. But he was telling me some of the claims that they have, they've heard and seen down there in that specific spot. And while we were standing there, both of us heard bang down the end of the hall, and of course it was just us in there, our group that they had let in, and Paul and I were the only two in that area. You guys were all downstairs. So as we're talking, I said, I looked over because I heard it, and then I looked back at him, and he said, yeah, I heard that. And as we're talking, it happens again. And then we could hear what sounded like footsteps above us. And so I said, where is everyone? Are they, do we know where everybody's at? And he goes, they're down in the basement. And I said, can we go above there and just make sure nobody's wandering? Because it's clear footsteps. Mm-hmm. So we went upstairs and and checked every room up there, and there was nobody up there. But Paul was like, yeah, that's what happens around here. But it was so just clear as day. It was a great experience. And then, but when you're swimming in the history of these places too, the Battle of Bannockburn, the house itself, and watching other paranormal investigators go there and have the experiences that they've had there. For me to be, just a guy, as a fan in this place, I was just blown away when I walked in the front door. But it's not even about the fact that we got in there and the experiences that we had. It's the other little things that, like you said, they're so happy to let you take pictures and do this or, whatever, and just give you freedom to explore and just live in that moment. And there's so many things to be thankful for. I could never repay them for anybody that took care of us on this tour, for all of the above and beyond that we were, privy to. It was just like I've said many times before, we were absolutely literally spoiled on this trip.
We were. And, we have to shout out to History and Horror Tours
Oh,
and based
absolutely.
out of Perth. And Lynn and Gary and Alistair took such good
Hmm.
care of us through everything. I mean, these people, they took time out of their lives, out of their, careers, their time, and they took us everywhere.
Yeah.
We,
I
you know,
mean,
we
for
started,
days.
yeah, literally for days. But
Yeah.
when we were at the Bankfoot Inn, that to me was so cool because we've talked about that before on the show about some people may not have heard that, but what I found astounding was that you actually, with all we had done, stayed up and investigated that night and had so much activity.
Yeah.
And when we talked about that before, I was so astounded because I was downstairs having breakfast because that's what I do. I love breakfast and I get up early. So, while everybody else was still sleeping, I had my coffee, my tea, went outside, wandered around the places you had been in the dark, and got some because I'm a photographer and I was just eating that up. I
Yeah.
was. And it was one of my favorite places because the gardens were amazing. As small as they were, the gardens were breathtaking. And, in the daytime, it did not look like someone would have had the experiences that you did. But I know you, and I know that you are the most honest person on the planet, and you have evidence.
Yeah.
So even if I didn't know how honest you were, you have evidence. And I think that these people, they took us to Perth. They took us to where Castle Mingus was. We went to Bannockburn. We went to the village of um, Bankfoot's town. We went to Dunkeld,
Hmm.
and that was amazing. And we didn't really talk about that when we were on before. Lori had brought it up when I interviewed her. Hi, Melinda. And we did meet at Balgony. I'm so glad to see you here. Thank you. Because I know it's middle of the night for you.
Yeah.
But it was so cool when we were in Dunkeld because, well, for one thing, we had a beautiful lunch. Alistair was with us because Gary had to work. We had that cathedral was so beautiful. They
Yeah.
had the garden behind the shrub that
Hmm.
was very eerie back there. It was not scary, but there was a lot of energy back there. Um, and people just had dogs everywhere, which of course was my color Kool-Aid. I got to pet dogs. The bridge that they had was the stone built bridge. The stone was the structure.
Yeah.
And when I got down under that and was experiencing that, it was just amazing. And Paul said Lynn and Gary are so friendly, and they are, but they took us to heart. They kept us under their wing, and it was such a blessing
Oh
because
yeah.
they were just starting.
Yeah, yeah. We're like they said, and kudos to them. They're starting their tours up, and they. I mean, what an honor to be kind of the test subject for that. As
And
they
we're guinea
wanted to.
pigs.
Yeah, but
That's
I
why they
mean,
called us. Yeah.
I hope that Scotland and anybody that comes to visit that's passionate about the paranormal really reaches out and takes advantage of that and does the tours with them because I mean
There's
Gary
nothing
is
better.
just a character and he's so passionate
Yes.
about the history, and Lynn as well. These guys, they dress up and they do, reenactments and things. I mean, they're just
She does
they,
battles.
oh yeah,
She
she's a
battles.
baddie. I mean, I wouldn't mess with Lynn
Mm-mm.
ever. If I hope I hope you're not mad at me, Lynn. Uh, but and then same with Liam and Highland
Oh
Paranormal,
my
and of course with
gosh.
Gregor and Scottish Paranormal and Ryan, and
Well,
I mean it's just everybody,
it's
everybody.
crazy. And you know what's really, and correct me if this was not your impression, but my impression is complete. Hello, Bill. Bill Schultz is in chat too. And one of the things that just blew my mind really was the fact that these people did not know us. Highland Paranormal is TAPS affiliated. They are tried and tested. They are, the real deal. Scottish Paranormal, my God, they've been Rick's friend for what, a decade now. And they've done Haunted Scotland and, Haunted Ireland. But they are the best humans. They drive us everywhere too. Poor Kyle
Yeah,
and
I
Greg.
know.
I wish I'd seen Greg dodging that deer though, because what I understand, it was like
Oh yeah.
getting all the algorithms right so that they don't die
Oh
that
yeah.
night. But and Kyle is just a delight. Kyle is Gregor's son, and he is one of the nicest people too. There's not a person that we came in contact with that was not a joy. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. And some
I think
people
that's
even
cool.
came out after the fact. Like we met up in St. Andrews
Mm-hmm.
the following day, and
Yeah.
Pete, some of the group were like, "Hey, how long are you guys in town? We'll spend a day." Lynn came and
Yes, with Gregor.
hung out with, yeah, and Finnan. She brought Finnan with.
Yes, who
I
is
mean, it was just,
alive.
yeah, and people just wanted to hang out. It wasn't.
Yes,
It was just. It was amazing, and
it
I
was a
can't wait to go back.
community and a group of friends, and I can't wait either.
Yeah,
I am. I just the places, right? Salutations.
yeah.
Salutations was one of the prettiest places, and my husband actually said, you know, that's the first place that that it really was definitively Scotland. And I said, well, no, it's really not. But I'm going to put, oh, well, that's us. I'm going to get Carl to do that because Carl can do that. But some of these images I would like Carl to share with us. The one that's a group picture down here would be awesome. And I just think that those were the best people.
Yeah,
The
it was so
best
funny
people.
because like we stayed at the Salutation, right? That place opened in 1699,
Yes.
and as we're walking through Paris, and Gary and Leonard telling us about the different places,
And the
like for
faces.
instance, yeah, and and yeah, everything about all the little details about the town and the history. Say like we went to the Fairmaid's house, which is like what,
Which
14th
we
century.
loved. Yes.
Yeah, 15th century, and then they go to another building, like, we're going to show you this one. This one's a little older. It's from like 1690. I'm just like, wow. Oh, or newer rather. This one's a little
Newer.
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 So but that's just hilarious to me. Like it is, but it's the fact that they even exist, or some of the foundation that they were able to build on and still preserve some of the original uh, uh,
Yes.
architecture of those places. It's just fascinating. Like I couldn't help. I don't know about you, but when we went into these places, like the Fairmaid's house, for instance, they still have a part of the original wall that they preserved. And as you're going up the stairs to throughout the museum, you feel the energy from that. And even walking through Perth, it's a
Pair.
soft R, Perth.
Pair.
Part of the original wall from when they settled there is still there. But
Yes.
if you're just
1400,
walking through town,
1400s, right?
I mean,
The wall in the Fairmaid house.
well, yeah, Yeah, 15th
So,
century. But if
yes.
you were just walking through town and you didn't know, it's just like, oh, that's an old wall, but there's so much history in that location, the
Hmm.
water underneath and the wall itself, and this happened here. And so even if you're not from the States or somewhere else visiting, if you're in Paris, you need to go find these guys and learn the
You
history of
do.
your town if you don't already know, because you live in a pretty amazing place. And it's just, yeah. And that's just one little piece, you know,
Yes. I mean,
every,
we had so much time, and you know, something that I really thought was fun. You have all these toys, right?
yeah, yeah.
And I did see the tape. I'm going to get that because I found where to buy that. And when we were at Salutations, it had been a day, but we got to go and do an investigation. It was brilliant. And Lynn came and did it.
Yeah,
So she had kids to get to school. She had a business to run. She had things to do. And she's there investigating with us until the wee hours.
yeah,
And we got activity in the hotel.
yeah,
And, this place was iconic to me because they had pictures from hunt balls that had been held there in the past. And to me, that was just, I'm a Scottish country living aficionado. I love that thing. As you know, when I almost killed Rick trying to get off the train at Croy, right?
uh-huh.
And but and then I saw in that same area, the name Balmerina, which is the Lord of Croy. So Ballard. And so I'm just like, this stuff is real.
Yeah, it's all coming
This stuff
together.
is real.
Well, even
And
in the hotel there, we were in the room where Bonnie Prince Charlie hung out, and
yes,
I think you're referring to the tripwire that we
I
used
am.
during the
I thought that was cool.
investigation. Yeah, I mean, we had it just laying on the steps coming down, and how many times was that thing firing
Constant,
off? Yeah,
constant. But
it was.
only in an appropriate fashion. It wasn't just doing random stuff. It
Yeah,
was interacting.
yeah, and then we'd have equipment going off behind us. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just, yeah, that. So, and then they even had a sign on the wall, investigation. Like they had it blocked off for us
Yes.
for, yeah, I mean,
Investigation in progress.
yeah, it's like, what?
Yes.
I mean,
They were
that was
so
amazing.
nice.
Yeah,
And that's a big hairy deal hotel. And
yeah,
they were very gracious. And again, breakfast. But I had gone to go get something to munch on and find a cappuccino machine because I learned that if you like coffee with cream in it, you better get a cappuccino out of the machines and just sweeten the fire out of that. But anyway, because they don't do coffee so much. But if you want a hot cup of tea, perfect place. Anywhere is. But I'm just looking out the window and I swear, and I know I was tired, but I wasn't that tired, that there's stuff moving. And it's early, but it was just like it's not a high traffic area per se. The street we were on is, but it's like walking behind it, this pedestrian areas. And when I shot those pictures, my husband was like, "Oh my gosh, that's astounding." And I was like, "Well, wait till you see the ones I got on the way to Balgony." Yeah. But,
yeah.
it was just cool. And what I'm going to put you on the spot. I don't do that to you very often because you're like me. Everything is your favorite thing.
Yeah,
We're both that person. We get excited. We stay positive. It's so much fun for us to be blessed and we know it's a blessing to be able to do these things, right?
yeah.
But I know what my favorite place that we saw, paranormal or not paranormal. Okay. But which of the villages spoke to you the most? I know
Oh,
that scared
wow.
you, right?
Well, it's just, I'll, I'm going to answer this completely honestly, and this is from the first time we were there. I don't know what it is or why, but I am so drawn to Kuros.
Yes.
Um, that town to me is just, it feels like home. Like I want to live there.
Yes.
And when we were there the first time, and we got to really walk through and explore that whole town
Well,
and
we were
walk
there
up the
for 7
hill, and
hours. We had plenty of
yeah,
time to see the stuff, right? And the house, Greg told us about the house with the eyes
hmm
and that whole
and the
feeling.
palace and Linda and everything about Kuros, and I the Abbey. We actually walked half a mile or
Oh
so
my
out of
gosh,
town.
the Abbey was so
Gorgeous. It's just the
astounding.
cemetery is amazing. You know how there's something about that town, but at the same time, I don't get tired of Sterling. To be where William Wallace defeated
Oh,
the English.
and
I
Robert the
mean,
Bruce.
and Robert the
I mean,
Bruce, like that.
oh my
That's
gosh.
powerful. Edinburgh is a whole nother, that castle. When you're standing there looking at that and thinking about what went into place to build that beautiful structure, and how they lived there. I mean, Perth. I'd love to spend another 2 days
Oh
in
my
Perth.
gosh,
And
I could stay in Paris. And
yeah.
it's
Oh,
such a great
Edinburgh.
place because it has the train station.
Oh yeah. I mean,
And,
it's
we learned that for people, we've got a lot of Scottish people in English in our chat. Okay. Um, the US does not have public transportation like there is there. And when we were in Edinburgh, if we wanted to go anywhere, fortunately, Rick is very adept with his knowledge of Scotland. We were right across the street from Waverley Station, Waverley,
yeah,
Edinburgh. And
literally across the street.
and we just stepped out, got on the train, and off to Perth we went, not getting off at Croy. That's a whole nother story. So, he's never going to live that down.
Never, never.
But when we get back, we're going to Croy. So, anyway, it's just, by the way, Melinda said Chorus hits her the same.
Yeah,
And
it's
you know her from
and then
Balgoni's investigation.
yeah, and let me say again, I don't. It's like asking me who's my favorite kid. You know,
Right? Because
I can't
everything is too
answer that.
perfect.
Yeah, I can't answer that. A part of my heart's in Balgoni, and
I
you
will
know
always
that.
be in
Rick knows that.
Balgoni.
Everybody knows that. Before I ever set foot on Bannockburn land, I part of the reason I signed up for the first trip. I mean, obviously, I wanted to go with Rick and everybody and do the whole thing. But one of the things that I was excited to do was to go to Bannockburn.
Yes.
And that's just something that I had seen on TV and read a little bit of the history about myself. And I'm like, man, I'm so excited to go there. Day one, we got shot down. I was devastated. I was so devastated.
I
But
know, right?
when
Well, there were
but this
so
time,
many that we didn't
well,
get to do. But that
yeah,
one was an iconic location.
yeah, that one hurt.
And
So when Paul and them worked it out this time, and I'm talking squeezed us in
I know.
like a piece of paper through a crack.
Yes.
The magic that had to happen behind the scenes for us to even be there, but they
Yes.
did it.
They did
And
do it.
what they gave me and us for doing that, it filled a void that something that I've been wanting to do. And so I'm again so thankful, and everywhere and everyone is just above and beyond and amazing. But if like I said, I don't know why. I couldn't tell you what it is about Kuros, and the palace and that whole town. But I want to go back more.
Yes.
And but that's I drop me off here. I don't care. Put me, throw me out in the Highlands with a tent and
Oh my gosh.
I'll be
The
fine.
Highlands turned out to be, yes, just
Yeah.
totally fine. And
Roslyn. I mean, did we even talk about Roslyn yet?
not yet, but Paul says that Bannockburn House is 350 years old next year. And you better
Wow.
come over for her birthday.
Oh, happy birthday. Yes.
I think I got a gift for her.
Yeah.
So, but I just
I mean,
Roslyn.
I'd have to mention St. Andrews too. I mean, my family was born there. I have great grandfathers that were born in St. Andrews.
Yeah.
So when I'm walking through that town, I'm like, wow, my people were here before they came over to the States. This is where they were born, and they lived here, for however long, and then they came over. It's so that's like a tie there for me.
Well, and
It just,
it's just brilliant.
yeah.
One of the things that I wish I could make
Ooh,
these pictures work
there's the
better.
temple though.
It is temple.
If you could block my face so you could see that
I, d-
amazing
I don't know how to do
piece of
that.
history behind you, that alone,
It's
when Gregor,
hopefully hopefully some of the people will understand that I am still learning this program, and that some of the stuff that is so iconic, we have pictures up on all of our Facebook pages, and I cannot even tell you how much all of these places spoke to us, you know, but when you were talking about being able to have a window to get in somewhere, it was, I was devastated when we didn't get to go to Bannockburn too. And
yeah,
I did not know all of the history about it at that time. I just knew that it was beautiful. It was someplace that I had always wanted to see in person, because I like a hands-on experience too, and we were kind of ill because things were already not going the way that we felt they needed to go. But it was just nothing we could do about that.
yeah.
And again, Scottish Paranormal stepped into the fray, and without Greg, our tour would not have been anything, even the first one, right? So
Yes,
it was
yeah.
it was pretty special. But St. Andrews, oh my gosh, one of my favorite things that I got there. Oh, Culloden is showing up. Can you see that yet, Mikey? Oh, it went
Yeah.
away. It'll come back. But one of the things that I thought was so wonderful was Greg came back and did his walking tour with us.
Yeah.
And it was just, that's
Oh,
the
he loves
video.
to tell the history. Yeah, that's a little just some
That's,
drone footage I took when I was
are
there is
you
on my
showing that?
Facebook. No, I think Carl's doing that for us, but
But
uh,
it's not
yeah,
full
just
screen
some
though.
no, just some clips. You guys can see it on my Facebook
He's
page. It's not.
brilliant.
It's just like a little
Here
30
we
second.
go.
Oh wait,
Here it is.
there it is. Yeah, there's the cemetery from Kulrus. There's Balgoni. That's Temple that we
Temple.
were looking at before. There's Mengus, Castle
Y-
Mengus, and there's Bannockburn House, the
Yes.
backside, and there's some more Balgoni, and there's in
Sterling
Inverness,
and
Castle
Inverness.
Rate,
Oh,
yeah,
there's,
Edinburgh, and there's Rate again, Castle Rate. So
I
just some
love
clips I
that
took,
place.
flying around, and Kat reminds me. This is what I think about when we're in Scotland and we're doing these things with all these people as paranormal investigators. It's important to some people that you get a good history of where you're at, right?
Absolutely.
Before you're investigating. So you got an idea of what's going on. You got an idea of what's happened there. Some people don't want to know when they go in. They kind of want to just start an investigation and see what they can get with their own
Depends on the
evidence.
location for me.
Right. And that's great. I mean, everybody does their own thing, but I've noticed in Scotland that you get both sides of the spectrum, right? You
Hmm.
have people there that will give you as much history as you want, as far back as they can go, because a lot of the records were destroyed, and so a lot of this we don't know. But then you
Yes.
have these people that it's almost like you're sitting around a campfire telling scary stories, and they're telling you versions of what they've heard that were passed down from people from before, and I love those stories too. I love to hear, well, when my grandmother told me this, that her
Yes.
grandmother told
Oh
her that.
gosh.
Yeah, and
It
so
brings
it
it
may be a little
home,
different.
right?
It does.
It
It
just
brings it.
brings everything.
Yeah, you can put that campfire story together with the history that someone's actually, been able to document, and it brings it alive.
It does. And, that to me, well, quite frankly, Lori's experience at Bannockburn was so unexpected. And so it was almost like an, oh my gosh, that's not the Lori I know that's going off killing people and stuff, you know. But
Yeah.
the spirit was adamant that she did, and also equally adamant that there's no forgiveness coming, chick. And
Mhm.
so it was such a random, odd experience. And and I have never, ever, ever experienced the rods crossing with such emphasis. And I mean, there was no hesitation. It was clank, clank, nope, 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 nope.
Yeah.
And that was stunning. That was well and truly stunning. And
Yeah.
I was so, because I know how tender her heart is. Lori Dorsey, she was actually on with me Wednesday, but Lori Dorsey is one of the people who is wonderful, and she had been there. So, but it was really one of the coolest experiences, even though it was disconcerting for her. But it was such an interaction.
Yeah.
And that's what we look for, not necessarily in that context, right? Because that
Well,
was
and
upsetting for the spirit.
but it
But
was unexpected, like you said. You don't know what you're going to get when you walk into these and you
you need
start
to
an
be,
investigation.
it's another reason to be careful and know the history.
Yeah, and I missed I missed a lot of that because Paul and I were getting growled at in the kitchen
Yeah.
with the footsteps and everything. And but yeah, I I agree with the. It's nice to know the history. Like I said, everybody does things different. There's and I, again, as a fan of the paranormal community and watching,
Hmm.
the last 20 years, these these
Yes.
guys that and gals and people that do this and taking bits and pieces from each one and kind of molding it to what I felt I needed for my situation.
Hmm.
I get it. I don't necessarily dive into the genealogy like a lot of these guys do, where
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
understand why they do it.
Well, they
And
operate under the history is the mystery. That's their slogan for Scottish Paranormal, and it's true. But you're putting this information together to create the understanding of the experience.
yeah.
So,
Well, and that helped us in Balgonia when we did the first
oh my
investigation a couple of
gosh,
years ago,
yeah,
right? I mean, we were able to get and have that experience with
Paul,
Scottish Paranormal and them. Well, it's the first time when we were there and we did the investigation with, and we went from the Laird's chamber all the way down to the chapel. That we had a history from them of
right?
what had been going on there, about the castle itself, the types of things that have happened. We witnessed people running out of the chapel that day that felt sick, like something had touched them. Remember, some of
I
the
do.
girls had felt like they. So when we did that
In an
investigation, we kind
inappropriate
of
way, yeah,
right, but we
which
kind of
is why they
tied that
freaked out.
all. Yeah, but tying it all in, I think helped us have the outcome that we did, and we kind of tailored it to that location,
Hmm.
right? We weren't, but it's still letting it be organic. Not we're not. I'm not trying to, like I tell people all the time. If I go to Waverly Hills, which I have and I love, by the way, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm using this as an example. I've I wanted to go there because of what I saw ghost hunters do there back
Right.
in season 2, and I just felt drawn to that place, kind of like how I am with Kuros and other places. So, but when I had the opportunity to go, when it finally happened, that day came, and I had all my equipment, and I set foot in that place. I didn't go there to try to replicate what they had done on Ghost Hunters because that was
No.
their experience.
Yes.
I wanted to see what I could capture, and if my medical background or my whatever um, could spark something else, maybe, or have my own experience there. So I don't go into places necessarily trying to confirm or debunk whatever other people have done there. I'm going there to see what I can find. But I'm not saying that whatever anybody else has experienced is this or that. That's great,
Yeah.
because sometimes I can say, oh, when they were here, this similar thing happened over here. Now it's happening to me. That's cool. It's a
Validation.
consistent thing, right? But I feel like if you just go in and see what you can find and let it happen organically, for me, I'm just saying, for me, that seems to work the best for my style of investigation. So, but I'm constantly learning from everybody. When when Gregor and we first met at Balgoni, in 22, and at that investigation, I'd never met them, but I felt like I'd known them from. Heck yes, Melinda, I want to
Oh
go.
yes, I will drive up. I will drive up
I
and meet you there.
I felt like I've known them forever because Rick just talks about them and raves
Yes.
about them all the time. But one of the things that really stood out to me and was a huge compliment, really, at the end of that, Gregor and I were talking after the investigation, and he said, "I've really enjoyed investigating with you. I really enjoyed the different styles and the different techniques and the different equipment and things like that, and learning, and it was the same for me. I'm like, are you kidding me? You guys, I have never, he had equipment I hadn't used,
Exactly.
or, and I sure did go hunting for it when I got back to the States and
You have it
found it,
now, don't you?
but I have it now. But it's things like that, right? I'm not, we should be constantly learning and growing from each other, because we should have the same goal in mind. We've all had our paranormal experiences, or whatever it is that drives us to be where we're at here, trying to find answers to the same questions.
We
And
do.
so
Yeah.
I'm not going, I don't believe everything I see. I don't believe everything I hear, but I don't expect people to do the same with me either. You're supposed to have your own experience, but to be able to have these relationships with people, to have, you know, to have been able to meet the Kat Hobsons and the Lori Dorseys and the Rick McCallums and the Jamies and the Gregors. I could go on and on for
It's
naming all
Legion.
the people.
Yes.
Yeah, for all the names of all the people who are responsible for me being where I'm at today.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I've taken
Yes.
little bits and pieces from all of you to make these things happen. So when you're looking at these pictures and you're watching these videos that I'm fortunate enough to do and throw out there for people to see, whatever, and I don't even have a lot out there yet. I really am ashamed of how much I have on a hard drive that I need to put out there. But it's not just my stuff that I'm putting out there, it's little pieces of you.
Yeah.
You inspired me and encouraged me to go do this. I wouldn't have these things had it not been for you, or for Lori introducing me to and Rick introducing me to Old Paulding Jail. I wouldn't have those. And Shelley being as open and loving.
Oh my gosh, Shelley is one of, and I don't have enough good words for Shelley Burke Robertson, who is the owner of the Old Paulding Jail. And if you are in a position to go there, it's in Paulding, Ohio. Fort Wayne Airport is the way to go. It's 20 minutes from the jail. There's hotels in Fort Wayne. There's hotels in Defiance on the other side. But the Old Paulding Jail was my first experience where I was getting so much mad at me activity. And I found it interesting because I'd always wondered what I would do if that happened, and what I did was get mad right back. And I felt like that was a healthier, more realistic action than running screaming from the building, because I'd never been able to go back there. And I'm not one to scream and run anyway, but it was pretty extreme. Yeah. And it was my first time to understand that these people, they're people, are just in a different dimension or on a different plane, and they still have all the emotions, extreme and not. They still have ways to manifest at least the sound. Okay, they were slamming doors. Wow. They were banging on doors. I'm hearing this, seeing doors that aren't moving, right? And Paulding Jail was the first time I learned that lesson, and it was quite a lesson. So I'm glad because you were there, right? When I couldn't be there and I called in,
Yeah. Yeah.
and, I didn't see it, but y'all were telling me that they were responding to me. And that was something that I really didn't expect it because I always, ever since that happened, and the spirits and I kind of came to an understanding that day, and I've never been afraid to go back. I'll go back on a drop of a hat if I get a chance. And Shelley's a brilliant human being,
Yeah.
and she's very kind. And but anyway, it's just one of those places that, to me, I feel like if we were to be able to stay in Sterling Castle
Yeah.
overnight, we would have similar experiences, but not from a you've made them mad and they're doing stuff, but simply from this is their job and they're still doing it. You know, changing of the guards, or things that don't happen there anymore that did at one time. I I have smelled, and it was during the day. I don't know if there's some place that they're cooking or whatever, but both times we've been at Sterling and going through the kitchen area, I've smelled food cooking
Yeah.
and like roasting. And so, is that because that's still going on? I don't know. But Paul's got oh, Jedburgh Castle. Just the place scares him at times, but it should be on every paranormal investigator's bucket list. Paul, if it makes you scared, I don't know what I think about that, but we'll do it. We will
I think I
definitely do that.
I think I got lucky with my negative experience. I had it.
Yeah.
I mean, I got into the paranormal because of a horrible experience, but and I didn't understand what was happening. That's why I started all this. But when the first negative paranormal experience I had was at Colonel Allensworth State Park in Central California, and it was with Rick. Um, and I that dark energy and that I don't run from stuff, but
No.
I sure didn't know how to handle it. And when all of that after all that happened, I went outside. Rick took me outside and said, "Hey, let's go out here and talk."
Right.
And really kind of talked me off the edge, but more so educated me about what was going on because I hadn't got there yet in my paranormal journey.
Hmm.
But I'm glad that it happened the way it did, and I'm glad that Rick took the time to, calm me down and talk to me about different things and different scenarios, and instead of packing up and running away from the paranormal, saying, you know what, this is too much. I don't want
Yeah.
to. What I've learned to do is to kind of bury that fear, and now I find myself at peace walking through. Like I had Indiana State Sanatorium to myself
Yeah.
twice, and I walked that entire property for hours. And I didn't run from anything. I wasn't scared. I was at peace, and I was looking for paranormal activity as an investigator,
Right.
and taking advantage of the opportunity that I had there, having that place to myself, because that's what we're doing, right? And I'm just saying that, for everybody's got their spot. Like Paul has his place, you've got yours.
Yeah.
Colonel Allensworth was mine. But when you learn how to um, redirect that fear and make it work for what you're trying to do in the paranormal,
Yeah.
and how to protect yourself and things like that, it helps you moving forward. I mean, it's definitely, at some point, if you do this long enough, you're going to have one of those stories.
You
And
are.
But having people like you who have experienced it, Rick who's gone through it, Paul, I mean, the list goes on and on. Gregor, and then the God knows the stuff that they've seen, and
I know, right? I mean, oh my gosh. Can you
yeah,
imagine? David and I were just kind of kidding around the other day, and I'm like, I know where we could go to Scotland, go in Scotland if you want to like relocate by chance, you know, because
wink, wink.
wink, wink, baby. But
Mhm.
I was just kind of like, where else are you going to go that is so safe? It's are there thugs? I'm sure there are. When I've been there, I'm traveling with big men, and nobody ever messes with us. So, but it's just a safe place. You know,
Well, and that I think credit
crazy.
goes to the people there that live there and that investigate
Absolutely.
there and do that.
Yes,
I'll tell you, like when we were at Culloden, and we talked about this before, that is sacred ground.
it is sacred ground.
That is sacred ground, and you have the right to visit that battlefield and to see where that tragedy took place and to feel the energy there. But you don't have the right to investigate there.
Nope.
And I think
But
it's
we don't
super.
do that here.
Well, no, and
You
and
can
and I
go out
think
in
that
Gettysburg with whatever equipment you have.
yeah,
I
and
don't think that's right, but
it's we don't yeah, not everywhere, not everybody protects or keeps things sacred like that. But I think that's a huge part of the experience when you're as far as paranormal goes, the respect of the locations, the
yes,
respect of the people that were there before that died. And it's I'm not saying it doesn't happen here. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is I feel like it uh, maybe those experiences that we have in Scotland and things like that are different because of how the locations and the land and the history and the people are treated
are
differently
honored
there.
because they're
Right. And
honored.
yeah,
And
and
I
again, they
agree.
we do the same here in the states. I mean, but there. I'm not going to lie, and there are people that go in and challenge and try to conjure stuff up, and but that's I mean that's
Write
everywhere.
their
But
name on the water
yeah,
tower at Sloss.
it's unfortunate,
Just
but it
saying.
does happen. It does happen, but for the ones that are going in there with pure intentions and things like that, I think they know the difference, right?
They do. Well, I mean, I don't imagine it really probably happens to you much, but I mean, when somebody's coming at you and that there's no respect there, that they're challenged, that they're just trying to get a reaction from you, that they're trying to start something with you. And I mean, I have people do that because people mistake me for a quiet, sweet little old lady a lot. And that's not always who you're going to get, depending on how you approach, right? And
Yeah,
spirits are the same way. If you were
right.
having a moment, um, you probably earned it with
Yeah,
a
and then
spirit.
going back to Professor McCallum, one of the things that Rick likes to say is, I mean, he really keeps it simple, and
He
it's his
does.
common sense, but he says he wouldn't go barge into someone's house and start eating all their food out of the refrigerator and things like that. When you get invited in, thank you for having me. Yeah, I'll have some water. Thank you. You just
Yeah.
treat people with respect. You do the same thing on a location. Hey, I'm here to communicate. I've got this stuff. It's not going to hurt you. Explain what you're doing, things like that, and just treat the spirits and the property and the location with respect. And um, you know, don't go in as a bully. But it happens. People do what they do. But I think, like I said,
Well, you get what you put into it.
yeah, and I don't necessarily think going back to where I was saying that when I go to these places, I don't try to have the same experience because I don't want to go into somewhere where someone had just left and was a complete, you know, rude,
Schmuck.
yeah, and then feel the wrath of that. Come
But
in
because there's
with a
going to
clean
still
slate.
be, yeah. But the thing is that if somebody brings that energy into an investigation, um, and it doesn't get resolved, I think that's why a lot of times, I know you've probably gone into a place. I've been to sloths before when um, the energy was so different.
Oh, Glen
And
Tavern Inn,
oh,
100%.
okay. Well, because it's weird. I'm sorry, this is poking me, but the it's weird because when I had a friend whose children found out that I was a, ghost hunter, in their words, paranormal investigator. They wanted to go to Sloss, and I was like, sure, let's go. And two of them were in college. One of them was younger. And the younger one, as we were leaving, we were not in the, we had come out of the boiler room because I figured that would be the place that would get the most activity in a short time. And we could do that there. And so it wasn't negative, but it was happening. And when we left, when we got outside, the younger son said, "Oh, that burned." And he pulled his shirt up and he had been scratched. And it was three scratches and a braided skin. And my friend looked down and said, "Oh, yes, that's a braided skin. You'll be all right." And I'm like, "No, I've never been with anybody at Sloss that got scratched." So I went back downstairs, right? And I was just, mom person. And I was like, "I can't believe y'all did that." And I was making sure I didn't have any equipment left and stuff too, but I was upset. Why would you do that? And
Yeah.
I heard people walking around upstairs where the impellers are, right? And I had my recorder going, my voice recorder, and I was like, "Who's up there walking around?" I got three different voices on that EVP. And they were messing with each other because one of the guys says, um, "Bad customer," in a real slow southern drawl. And I'm like, as I'm listening to the playback, and then this other guy goes, "Gavel." And then the three voices on an EVP. The third voice says, "Bad customer, eat poop, but not poop." And
Oh,
I was
wow.
like, "Well, hello." And
Yeah.
so they interact, but
Yeah.
they interacted inappropriately with that child, which really made me mad. And so when I took my attitude down there, they were not, you know, they didn't jump me or anything because they knew that something should not have happened to a child.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
and
and you went into, like you said, you went into mama mode and
I was in
protection
full
mode.
blown mom mode.
Yeah.
So it was just like, why would
Well,
you even think that was okay?
don't you think that it has a lot to do with the people that you're investigating with too? Sometimes, um,
Yeah.
for instance, I hate to throw Rick under the bus here, but uh,
Let's
um,
just toss him. He'll be fine.
yeah, I
Okay.
had been to Glen Tavern Inn. I've been there quite a few times. I like going there too in Santa Paula, California. And Rick, we were there investigating one time with Rick, and before that, I had gotten a few EVPs. I never really felt anything bad there per se. On the other times, as a matter of fact, the first couple times we were there, I had some funny experiences because it used to be a brothel allegedly, and we caught something on the SLS doing something maybe not appropriate, so stuff like that. But I didn't have any like paranormal potty mouth
Right.
EVPs per se. But then when we go into this into room 306 with Rick, and we're getting FUs, F bombs, like, so I have to wonder if sometimes, like what happened with Lori at Bannockburn,
Right.
where um, maybe her being there reminded something. It makes perfect sense that Lori could be in Scotland and remind something there of a person that was there at that time.
She always asks.
Right.
And I had
And
told her because, excuse me, I know this is like, but chat lips.
yeah.
And, but it was so funny because I had just on that trip said, "You need to stop asking,
Hmm.
do they know you? And you need to quit asking, who do you remind me of?"
Yeah.
And she didn't really, and, she still did it. And that's what she got.
Yeah.
And I
But
was like, I told
what
you
is it
not
that
to do
makes
that.
her, there was something in her that makes her, that draws
She's
her to ask that
curious.
though, right?
I know.
Right?
And you have to follow that, right?
Yeah.
If you're
And but
being led somewhere,
you
there's a
go with it.
reason. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
there's
go
a
with it.
reason for that.
And I hadn't been
So,
in room 306 before with a 6'4" monster of a stunt man, that maybe Calvin was intimidated, or,
it could be intimidating. I mean,
and
not to
once
me,
you get to
but
know, yeah, on first impression, like I'm saying. So I don't know. It's just, it's interesting to me, the chemistry sometimes that you have with the different groups of people, and the
mhm,
different types. Again, we could go back to Scotland with at Balgony. Um,
yes.
when I'm a stranger in a castle that these guys have been investigating multiple times in the past, and they have a little history, or a little connection there, or a big
Yes.
connection there, and then here we come in, just strangers from another land asking questions and with different accents and things. Maybe that changed the atmosphere, but having Gregor and them there as a
Mhm.
safe place still allowed for things to happen. I mean, isn't this the beauty of it? We could do this all day long.
We
All the
can.
what ifs, trying to
Yes.
figure out why this is happening. We're still looking for these answers, the formula of ghost hunting. But I find, though, in my experience in investigations, that a lot of these things um, can make or break the investigation, or maybe, we'll go back to Rick, this investigation that we just did at Balgony, after the
Oh my
passing of the
gosh.
Laird.
Oh my
That
gosh.
to me, and Rick,
Yes.
I mean, to be a part of that experience, where if anyone has ever wondered if a loved one that you've lost can hear you, or can see you, or knows you're there, um, and is wanting that experience, if you're in the paranormal field because you're looking for that, because someone died tragically, you lost your child, you just want to know, whatever it is, I can tell you that I'm pretty sure that we experienced
Yes.
Rick McCallum have that moment at Balgony with the Laird, because uh, that man that man loved Rick McCallum. He knew the equipment that we were using, because of Scottish Paranormal had been
Yes.
investigating there before. He knew not he wasn't afraid of it,
No.
uh, and it made perfect sense that the responses that we were getting. Rick and I were talking earlier about how many times did your camera battery drain, and the paranormal
Hey,
community as a whole talks about battery drain as the entities, the
but
spirits
it
using
always
that.
but it was always still fully charged when I turned it back on.
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
as that's happening, the K2's going off, the millimeter's going off. Rick
yes.
had to say, "Can you please back away from this so that we can try to talk?" Because it's just, everything's going off.
All
It
the
was
K2s were stuck. I mean, they weren't really
right.
stuck, but they were staying in the 5 to 4 range.
Yeah. And the beauty of that was, four groups that came through there that night. Nothing else happened on that level the rest of the night, and
Very
and it
little happened, period, after that.
yeah. So I think, for me, if if I was a paranormal investigator investigating for that reason, and I hadn't had my experience yet, but I witnessed what we witnessed that night at Balgony with Rick, that's motivation for me to keep going and
You
keep.
know what? Do you know what he told me?
Uh,
He was like, "Well, you know, I think I'm done." And I'm like, "No, you're not. Because you know what? We know now, we know, every one of us now knows that that's possible.
yeah,
And from this point on, that's what we're looking for.
yeah,
We're looking for that level of interaction. We're looking for that um,
validation. That
validation, that joy of seeing. Of, that that was joy because I'm not kidding. And I mean, you saw it from where you were, but I was right beside that REM pod when that started. And I swear to goodness, it doesn't look like, I don't see it on the video at all, but from the angle I was, and maybe it was just the reflection on the antenna, it looked like that energy was climbing the antenna.
Yeah.
And, probably maybe it was just the reflection of the lights on it or whatever, but it was so striking.
Yeah.
And it
Well, and the
just
fact
blew
that
my mind.
that girl that was standing there next to Rick stepped away because she felt like something was pushing her at one point. She was uncomfortable in that spot.
Yes.
And then so she was kind of like physically feeling something before all this, right before all this started going on. But she backs away from the rim because
Yes.
at first I thought, did she get too close to that and break the field? Is that why it's going off? But she had backed away from it,
Yeah.
and that rim never moved. It stayed in that same spot the whole time. So and then it just starts screaming like that. And then at the same time, the millimeter going off with the rim built in behind by
Yes.
the Laird's workshop. And um, I don't know. It was just, those are the things that people, I think,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody again does it for their own reason, but people that have had uh, loss like that or just want that validation, that's what we're looking for. And even though that was Rick's experience, we all got to see it.
We all had
it
that experience.
it's still, yeah, exactly. So I know I don't question that there's
Yeah.
something going on, but now I'm just even more hungry to find out what is exactly happening in the environment while that's happening. Like what it makes you, it's going to
Well,
make you crazy wanting to dig deeper.
well, from this point on, I am not going to be without a thermometer. I'm
And
also not going to be without multiple, multiple. And I mean, I'm bad. I carry recorders, voice recorders, camera recorders, just cameras. I, you know, voice recorders I have out the yin yang. And it's just so funny because, well, you've got all that evidence. I always have something rolling. And I'm just so astounded when I find stuff, right?
yeah.
So,
Well,
because
people say make fun of me because of all my equipment, but I'm just saying.
just saying, you've got
Mhm.
stuff, right?
And I'll tell you what, with the inspiration for even setting that museum up like that, we talk about learning from each other and growing and things like that. And that came from Greg and Scottish Paranormal
Yes.
and Kyle. And when we did the first investigation up in the Laird's chamber, they set up the room with
Oh,
their
okay.
equipment. And so they had set up tri-field meters, REMs, the yes/no box, things like that came out later, but around the periphery of the room. And so we had stuff going off all around. So when I was talking to Rick about setting up in that museum, I said, what if we set this place up like we did upstairs when we were here before? Because that's what worked here
Right.
at Balgoni,
Yeah.
and just flood this room with equipment. And if anything moves in here, we should be able to
Well,
pick
no.
something up.
Yeah.
And it worked. It worked great. But having those conversations, having those interactions with other groups, having Rick and I talk a lot about investigations before investigations. And I'll tell you, there's been times where 8 out of 10 things I throw out there get shot down, not in a bad way.
Right.
But it's let's or it's a conversation. Let's, what I like that, but what about this? And then LAPD museum was an example.
Yes.
We kind of collabed on the whole Singapore method type of a thing before
Yeah.
that, with the replaying the events of that day with machine guns and things like that. We got some great stuff that happened in that room. So I don't know. I'm sharing my experiences. I'm not right. I'm not wrong. I don't know. I'm not saying
That's why
anybody
you're
is,
here.
or yeah, it's just, this is
Right.
what's been working for me. If you guys haven't tried it or want to, then go for it. Let me know how it works, because we're all trying to find the same thing. And I get excited. When,
No.
I know,
You do
honestly,
say?
Kat, some of the best investigations that I've been on, we've had zero activity.
Mm-hmm.
But what we did have was a real time human interaction. And where we change someone's perspective, or where we positively impacted somebody. And even though we didn't have chairs thrown across the room that night, or whatever growling at us out of nowhere, Rick and I had a opportunity working with a little kid in Tombstone that was all excited about paranormal, and
Yeah.
mom and dad had bought him a little ghost stop case, and he had a little watch, and he wanted to do this investigation. And at the end of that, the parents took the time to go to the coordinators of that event and say, hey, we really want to just thank Rick for everything that he did for our son during that investigation. He had a really good time. He's very patient and kind, and it was just a great experience.
Wait, Rick McCallum, right?
Yeah. And
he
we got to
is.
do
That's
that.
just how he is.
Yeah, we got to do that at Paulding with Shelley. There was a group of kids that came there, and we did have some cool things happen that night too. But a couple of the kids were there only because mom and dad made them go. But at the end of the night, we had them interacting. We had one of the kids in handcuffs, and because it's a jail, and they were laughing and stuff. But it really kind of broke them out of their shell. Yeah, and so a lot of the times you go there expecting or hoping to have all these things happen, and nothing happens. But look for something else that may have come out of that night. Maybe it was just to help someone else come out of their shell, or someone that was brave enough to say, you know what, I saw this thing posted, I'm going to go check it out because of whatever happened in my life. I don't know what to expect, but I want to find answers too. And sometimes you can be one or two answers to the questions they have and help that way. So there's so many things, positive things for me in the paranormal community that keep me going and doing it. But if you get a chance to go to Scotland,
take it.
Take it.
Take it. Yeah. Well, and Tracy said Sky said the same thing about you and Rick.
Oh, and there, yes, our little charm bracelet.
Yeah.
Yes. No, she was amazing.
Is this the Sky that hid in the bush?
Oh, yeah.
Get out. Yeah. Oh, I love that. And Tracy, just so you know, Rick has told me about Sky, and what a joy. Good parenting. So, but I think that if you get a chance to go to Scotland, go to Scotland. Yeah. If you get a chance to go to Scotland and connect with the History and Horrors tour, oh my God, take that chance, because I know they were pulling out the stops. They were showing us all of the things that they could. And we were the first people in Fairmaid House, which was just a joy. That was the coolest place. Lori had an interactive discussion with a K2 in the downstairs. Upstairs, there was so much stuff that was happening quietly around. They had a map from the 1700s that you could look at, and they had it protected. You could take a photo of it. I did. No flash. Don't ever use flashes if you're in an historic location taking pictures, whether it's furniture or anything. Okay. Learn how to use your light meters and do your settings, but no flash, especially fabrics and paper. But it was such a freaking joy to work with these people. When we were at Castle Mingus, people think I'm crazy when I say they had a death mask of Bonnie Push Charlie. And we had access to see these things. That place was so astoundingly beautiful, the exterior, that as we got out of the car, the first thing out of your mouth was, oh my God, we just stepped into a painting.
Yeah.
And I tell people that all the time when I'm talking about Castle Mingus. Although I did, when I was somewhere recently, found a location that was Mingus, spelled correctly, that I'm sending to Scottish Paranormal so that they will be able to pronounce Castle Menzies' name appropriately.
They're gonna fight you on that one. You're not gonna win that one.
I'm not going to win that one,
No,
but
I'm telling you.
it's
In the
so much
car
fun though.
watching the back and forth.
Yes, I'm not going to win that
That
one,
I'm gonna
but
keep
it'll be
that
a
one in here,
fun.
but it was
It'll
yeah.
be fun though.
Well, and you can do the same thing in Inverness with Highland Paranormal.
Yes,
And you can
yes,
find Gregor and the crew with Scottish Paranormal. They're doing tours and stuff too.
they're
You can
fantastic.
do this, and they're
Yes,
all gonna give you paranormal
they will
hugs
love
and
you. They will love
yeah,
on you. They will love you. They will. There are researchers. They're experiencers. They are. Ryan has been on television. You would never know. Ryan is. It's Ryan from the telly.
right from the telly.
Ryan from the telly.
Don't
Which be
call him
sure
that
you say
anymore.
that to him when you
No,
meet
yeah,
him.
don't do it. Don't do
but
it.
they are just the most lovely of people.
Yeah.
They're members that. What was the name of that church that had been converted that where we went for the cookout? Do you recall?
The name of the church itself, or
It was somebody's home. They had
Daniel.
been Daniel.
Yeah, so he's actually one of the subscribers
Hmm.
for. So again,
Yes.
go to their social media and check out. You can subscribe to their content, and
Yes.
these guys, the things that they do with their subscribers out there,
Oh, they
and
love their
they
subscribers.
well, yeah, the
And they
subscribers
love them right back.
themselves.
The old
Yeah,
church, Daniel Chuck's house. Yes.
yeah.
Daniel Tuck.
Daniel and his wife and their son. Okay, have you ever had people over to your house for dinner or an event?
Yeah.
I mean, how it can be stressful, right? Oh, I got to get the house clean. I got to figure out the menu.
And they
I
had
got to
just
clean
renovated.
the grill.
Yeah.
These people, they went out of their way, and they're subscribers,
Yes.
but they all get together. They do events with their subscribers, and the subscribers, like Daniel, for example, and his family, they open their home to the team and other subscribers and us from across the
Yes.
pond. They bought all this food. I mean, we could have ate for 3 days. It was there was so much food, and had us come in and sit on their couch and listen to everybody's stories and walk around the grounds of the church. The cemetery is still
It was
there.
beautiful.
I mean, come on, just to put
Yeah.
that together alone, when you think about that and everything that went into it, and the fact that we were so privileged to be invited and be a part of that. I mean, it's not just it's everyone involved, and you can
Yes.
experience that here in the States, just going to their social and kind of checking them out there. All of them, Highland, horrors and history, Scottish paranormal.
Highland.
There's so many.
And we haven't really talked about Highland, but oh my gosh, when we were at Rate Castle, and by
Mhm.
the way, if you go, you can absolutely get right to Rome in Scotland. You can go into ruins and whatever. However, you have the right to Rome, but you do not have the right to blame somebody else if something happens to you. It is completely on you. And if you try to mess with these people, they are the ones who ran the Vikings out of their country. Don't do it. So, but it is just one of those things. Rate Castle was, I wish I'd known we were going to talk about this. I would have put some of my pictures from this up, but it was just the most delicious ruin. And you were flying, and I got to
Yeah.
use the dowsing rods. Did you know that my hand got burned from the rods?
No.
Yeah, it
At
was.
rate.
Yeah, so I had a burn. It was this hand. It was like right here. But
Are,
using somebody else's rods, it happens sometimes. But anyway, so it was just wild because Lindsay started out with them, and Barry said, because I was like, oh, can I do that? Can I use those? Because I didn't have any with me. And it fantastic experience. And meanwhile, you're droning and having all the fun and doing all the cool stuff. And by the way, kudos on you, because your drone work is so very, I don't even have words, because I don't know what all goes into how you have developed this skill in such a relatively short period of time. And aside from the fact that you almost had to go to jail, is, you know, thank God you have coal in Edinburgh. But, it's just like, it just is such an enhancement to the investigation.
Well,
It's
it's another testimony to the people there. Like, you're not allowed to fly drones over Balgony,
No, you're not. It says so on the sign.
but the laird of the
Current
castle
laird. Mm-hmm.
said, yes, you may. I mean, that,
Yes.
enjoy yourself, get some good pictures, whatever you want to do. So
And so you
that's a
did.
perk. Yeah, and so I took advantage of it. A lot of and I appreciate the compliments on the drone. A lot of it is just I launch it, I zip around, get what I can, and then try to get a couple of good shots. It's like, as a photographer, you take 100 pictures and hope for two
We
good
won't.
ones, right?
Yeah, we won't even go into how many. Thank God.
Yeah,
Thank God that there's digital now,
right.
because development and disappointment is a thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's the
So,
same with the drone. Like, I
yeah.
don't get 5 minutes of amazing quality. I get maybe 10, 15 seconds of a good pan or something. But just to have that and have the opportunity to do that, and be given the permission by these people to do those things.
Oh, what was wicked was when we were in Venice, and you were up flying from this, y'all, he found the most beautiful and cute Airbnb in
Oh,
Inverness that was perfect, and it was close to the river. And so he was adventuring. And can I tell people what
yeah.
happened? Because he's up in the air. He is flying. He was flying from where we were staying, and the government said, I don't think so. Because you got a warning. Did that come across? How did you actually receive that warning? Did it come to
Well,
your controller?
yeah, you get, if you're in certain if there's certain government buildings or airports or anything that's been flagged, that where the airspace is restricted,
Mhm.
if you get too close to that area, then you get the get back warnings. So in my case, I had a little
It was
window of,
extreme.
yeah. In my case, I had a little window of where I was good, but as soon as you get close to that, or it's time to back off. So I don't have a lot of Inverness for that reason, because I stayed away from the government. I mean, I just shot it straight up from the Airbnb, and kind of did a pan around and came back
Yeah.
down. But
And that was cool.
definitely, if you don't get back in your spot, we'll freeze this little booger up, and you'll never see it again. You
So you
you
will
can
lose
definitely get
control of
those.
your drone.
Yeah, you can get those warnings when you're different locations and things. So you gotta be smart about flying your drone, and know where you're doing it, know the rules and things like that. And in my case, again, I was very fortunate to have permission from the source, to do it in places that you're not normally allowed to.
Yes.
So I was that's another perk of the trip that we had this time. The people, um, everywhere we went, and I'll tell you, there were times where I asked if it was okay, and I was told absolutely not.
True.
Do not do it. Don't even take it out of the backpack.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, they'd say, I'm telling you this for your own sake. I'm saving you the headache, but it is 100% not allowed. Don't do it. And I'm like, absolutely, and that's why I ask. And so we do the
And
same
then the
thing. You
one
be
place, I'm sorry.
Well, I was just saying the same thing goes. Be respectful and know the rules. Uh, Fly responsibly is what I would say. I'm not a professional drone pilot extraordinaire, uh, but
Au
there are
contraire.
rules, and it's privacy, and there's a lot of things involved. So you make sure you have permission and you're doing it legally, safely.
or be
That's
quiet
what I
about
would
it
say.
after if you
Or
do
keep
it
your
by
mouth
mistake.
shut.
If you happen to be in a place
Uh,
that's going to get attention, then just
yeah, then get out
nix
of that
that.
place.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
nix that
yeah,
conversation.
yeah. It's
But
done.
oh, Lori said that oh, Melinda's talking about being a subscriber. She said it's one of the greatest things I've ever done. I finally met my tribe and my people. And you know what? When you do that, the whole ball game changes. I
Yeah,
mean, we're tribe. In
yeah.
fact, one of the pictures from Inverness I have is of you, Julie, Rick, and Lori walking in front of me. And I posted that and I'm like, oh, look, my tribe.
Yeah.
Because we are, and it's so astounding because one of the places that I didn't really understand the pull of, thank you, Melinda, ditto, but was um, the Clava Cairns. And I
Yeah.
understand now why that was a big deal. I did not realize that's where we were,
Yeah.
for Julie.
Mm-hmm.
And out of all of us got a chance to make a list. This is where I want to go. I'm sure that was on Julie's list. But
Mm-hmm.
one of the places that was on my list was Culloden,
Yeah.
and that was such a strong pull for me. And it was such a weird thing because Lori had mentioned how cool the Writers Museum was. Well, it was. And I had such an empathic, weird thing happen there. But when we were at Culloden, you know, Liam had told me that there's this particular marker, and if you have, you know, you can expect an experience there. He didn't describe anything about it or anything. He said this is just things happen here, and so I get things in places all the time. So I'm just like in one ear, out the other, being respectful no matter what. So it didn't, you know, and I'm just walking down the path on my way to the Jacobian side, right? And I'm just walking and I got hit in the abdomen. And so I was taken aback, and I haven't talked to Liam about that yet because I was trying to process it. I've talked about it on the show, but it was very odd, and it still hurt later. I'm thinking that I have like a gallbladder attack or pancreatitis or something because it's in that same area, but I hadn't eaten anything to create that. And the fact that it was so sudden and I didn't think about being in the vicinity of the marker he had talked about because I'd already gone by it and then come back and done something else and then gone back down. And it was as I was going back into the battlefield past it that happened. I
Yeah.
didn't really make a correlation because, like I said, I thought it was a real physical thing, but turns out probably not so much. And Melinda said that Culloden has energy like none other. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
wondering if I was drawn there, because I didn't know that much about it really.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if I was drawn there because I was supposed to be there
Yeah.
or
It's
not,
one of
as the
those.
case may be. I mean,
But
but it was
nevertheless, you
definitely,
had that I need to go
yeah,
feeling, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was, I think all of us had a place like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even know to act like I was being pulled through the stone when we were at the cairns, but
Yeah. Outlander reference.
yes. But yeah, because I didn't know. I did know that Balgoni had been on Outlander. Um, I did know that obviously Mingus, with its history, was on there, but I didn't know that almost every place we went had been on there.
Yeah.
They get
Well,
around.
and I've talked to a lot of the locals, and the I'm not speaking for everybody, but the majority feel like, for the most part, the show does a pretty good job of, honoring the history. And I mean, there's a lot of Hollywood in it too, obviously, but as far as some of the timelines and the things that happened, they're accurate. Don't talk about Braveheart over there because that's a whole nother story.
Yes.
But I'm just saying, as far as locations go, they filmed it in these areas. They did a really good job with the history of the show and looking, and things like that. So I joke because of Jamie and whatnot, but it is, it's a great show, and they do film it all over Scotland. And
Yes.
if you're a fan of Scotland or a fan of Outlander or a fan of whatever, there's no reason why you shouldn't go to Scotland, is what I'm trying to say.
If you're not a fan of Outlander and you're not a fan of the paranormal, there's still no reason that you should not go to Scotland.
Yeah. Because there's Harry Coos.
There's Harry Coos.
And everybody loves Harry Coos. So you could go see them in the Highlands.
And they're right by Culloden.
So yeah.
They have some right there.
Yeah.
And it is definitely a great twofer. But, it really does matter because Scottish Paranormal's, slogan, if you were, I don't really think it's a slogan, but it's a great saying, which is the history is the mystery. And, it is because our history as a nation, as a governed nation, is not so old here. And we're a very young nation. We don't really understand, I think, in a lot of ways, the history. And we are not educating our children that strongly in our history right now. We haven't for some time. I mean, it's not like a political thing. It's just like a Board of Education thing. They're trying to teach other things that are taking priority. But we're not a bad place. We're not. Everybody has their moments of history that they wish had not happened. Every nation has things that make them go, oh,
yeah,
really? But every nation in certain periods shared the same experiences. And it doesn't make one worse than another because everyone did it. It does make everyone doing it. I have a problem with that, but I wasn't alive then. I talk like the people that were, but I was not. So, it's just kind of it's an interesting thing because I don't think that we recognize we're 200 years in. They are centuries in.
Yeah.
They are millennia in to being a society. And the difference between that period, having those periods to draw from, I think is a huge thing because I think that societies learn over time and you learn not to be a horse's butt. You learn not to be unkind. You learn that there are certain things that you don't do to other people. And you learn that everybody are people. And if nothing else, experiencing that history for me it made it so special. Everything about Scotland is special, but the fact that they have learned from their history and they don't have, slaughtering in fields anymore. I mean, it's just, it's such a great honor to be able to be exposed to something like that.
Yeah.
I think,
well, the tie-in for me too. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, you're fine.
I was just, like we're talking about Culloden. We're walking on this ground where this horrible fall of the Jacobites happened in 1746. Well, 30 years later, what happens over here in 1776? We get our independence over here. So, you know, how many of those people that were fighting for that over there came over and helped build this, and how many, you know, like how is it all tied in? And you look into the history of things, and how it all worked out. Like you said, we're a couple hundred years in over here, but as far as, you know, the United States goes, but those guys were doing this for centuries, like you said, and to be over here and learn what you've learned as a kid in school and everything else from
Yeah.
your parents and everything. That's cool. And for me, that's kind of where it stopped, unless I'm reading books and doing my own little history on the other places. But to go over and walk in their shoes
Yes.
and walk through their fields and feel their history too, and then think about how it all ties together. For me, it's just, you know, almost like the paranormal goes away from it. And now I'm thinking about my history, and there's so much more to it than that. But again, all of that was possible because of the amazing people that Rick
Yes.
has befriended over the years, and
Who
that were willing to
is
take a chance on us. What's that?
who in his own right is an amazing people.
Yes, the
Yes.
amazing Rick and his amazing friends who were willing to take us in without ever meeting us or knowing us, just simply
Yes.
because you know,
His say
Rick said,
so.
yeah, they're good. And the things that we got to experience, we could do 1,000 shows like this, Cat, and not get it all in. I'm telling you.
Well, the
You
next
know,
one I'm going to know how to put up that video because
I
I
might
thought I
I might
knew.
be able to play it on my side. You want me to try real quick?
Why not?
Was it just a quick little?
Carl says yes. Yes, do that.
Okay, let me see if I can. I think it's this one you're talking about. Um,
Is that's one of them.
oh, is this the investigation? This
That
is the
one's the
investigation.
investigation. Yeah, we've
Yeah.
got time.
Well, that's like a 6-minute video. I don't know that we've got time for that guy.
Well,
Um,
we've actually, with all the connection things, we're only at an hour, we're at a minute and 42, an hour 42. So if you want to play one of them, knock it
oh,
out.
okay. Yeah, we can kind of run through
You
a
know what
little
I'd
bit.
rather you played?
Uh,
I'd rather you play the first one. I love the
uh,
first one.
oh, with the little clips.
Yeah,
Okay, well, that one's on an external. I'd have to run away and get
that's
real quick,
okay.
but I could do it. Yeah, next time.
Yeah,
Next time.
because I love that
Yeah.
video. Y'all are,
Or
he's so good. He's so good.
yeah, I mean, I might be able to find it. I think it's on
It's
the
okay.
Facebook. Yeah,
It's on Facebook. But
it's on Facebook. Um, but and I promise I'm going to get better at posting stuff and doing, you know, I had the same issue with you. Like we got back and on a Friday evening,
yeah,
my router exploded. So I had to wait till the next week for the internet company to come set up a new one. Didn't have internet for the weekend, so I couldn't, but I started transferring data. And I'm telling you, when you're transferring like 2 terabytes
yes.
of stuff, and then trying to sort it all,
I think
I
that's the
just barely,
hardest.
yeah, I just barely sent clips to Highland and History and Horrors and Scottish Paranormal like literally yesterday or the day before that I had finally got separated and was able to send and things. So, and it's been a month or
Well, I'm not
uh,
going anywhere that I know of, so I'm okay.
yeah, well, I think I sent you some of your files in that big transfer. So look for
Okay,
your other stuff there too. But
I will.
yeah, anyway, I had some of the same issues. Plus, work and life happens. But
No,
you know,
really?
let's stay tuned. But um, if you don't mind, you know, there's been a lot happening in the paranormal community with some people that we love and know and have seen
Go ahead.
doing this for a long
Go ahead.
time. I
I
just
know what
wanted
you're
to.
doing.
Well,
You beat me to
I
it,
hope.
but yes, let's do that.
Oh, do you mind?
No, I do not mind at all.
I thought this would be an opportunity to take advantage of this platform, and you know, there's been a couple people that have come out recently that have some very hard times ahead with with medical issues. Andrew Perrin just announced on her show that
Yeah.
she's got some some tough news. Chris Fleming has shared with his community that he's got some tough news, and there's a lot of people suffering with different medical issues and things right now. But just encourage everybody to kind of just raise the vibe and encourage them through this process, because they need all that love and positive energy now more than ever.
I did not know about Chris Fleming.
Yeah, he posted on his page as well. And I'm not going to get into details. That's their story to tell. And those of you that follow and know. But I would just ask everybody to just raise them up and like I said, send lots of healing. And anybody right now that's suffering with illness or any problems, just raise each other up. This is the time that a lot of these people have been a personal influence to me in my career, my experience. Like I talked about my journey and some of the people that I followed that helped me get through. So it means a lot. It's hitting me hard as it is, you know, everyone, but
the whole community.
The whole community is taking it's hard news for all of us, but these guys are tough fighters, and I think we just need to give them a little
boost,
spiritual ammo, to help them fight this battle. So if you guys think about it and know who I'm talking about or know what's going on, just reach out in your own way, or just send those vibes and help lift everybody up.
It matters, because people forget sometimes that this is a community, and good, bad, or indifferent, we're all involved, and everybody has their moments. I have several people's moments myself, a lot. Taking some of the brunt off them so they don't get that bad karma. I'll just carry that for them, apparently. But it's somebody. Any parent has been somebody I care about for a lot of years, and that's something that I would assume that she knows that, even after our last trip to Scotland, which was not her. It's she was just collateral too on that, I think. And so it's just something that it doesn't matter. Relationships are relationships. In this field, people are doing stuff that nobody else has to live through. Everybody has their own path to walk down. And when anyone is struggling, I will always be their biggest champion. I really will. And these people need champions. They need energy flows. If you pray, they need prayers. If you chant, they need chants. But the energy flow is so healing. It really is. And it can do things that the medical profession doesn't understand, right, Mikey?
I think so. Everybody's always talking about the collective consciousness and the paranormal, and I think that this is a good time to test it out and for everyone. Like I said, those that have voiced and shared what's going on publicly, those who are suffering privately,
just lift each other
we
up.
Know
period.
And love. Period. Just take, because I feel like I've as a fan sitting behind the TV, watching these people, watching them be brave enough to go out and investigate, watching, hearing from Andrea and her family story, regardless of Hollywood and everything else, knowing what they went through. She just lost her mother.
Recently.
So there's so much happening, but as a fan looking in and being able to relate to some of the things and learn from them and get peace from some of it, some of the questions that you had. Like, how does somebody like me give back to somebody like that? I could never repay all of you out there who have grown this community and helped people like me. So other than just to ask to just throw some love out and let's get behind these guys and whatever we can do to help.
Well, and it works because they feel
Yeah.
comforted. They'll feel it,
Yeah.
and just put the energy to them because there's battles to be fought and you need energy to fight them. So just flow.
Yeah. And for those of you that are going through stuff and haven't, you know, been able to speak up or don't want to, just
Yeah.
don't suffer in silence. There's like you said, we throw a blanket love energy healing vibe out there and hit anyone that
Anyone.
needs it. I'm sending it out. I love you guys, and if there's anything that I can do, reach out. I'll do my best, but in the meantime, just know that you're definitely in my thoughts and prayers, and I just wanted to throw that out there real quick while we were on here with your audience. And
Thank you for doing that.
yeah,
Because I just found out about that today. And I was so blown away, really.
yeah.
That's something
Like
that
I
I
said,
was not expecting to hear.
no.
So
And there's a lot of people that are going through it.
there are, like you said, people keep stuff in. People want
Yeah,
to be private with it. That's fine. So
absolutely.
just kind of maybe direct it to whomever needs it. It'll get
Yeah.
there. That's all you have to do.
Yeah. Or if you want to stay private and reach out privately, do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
hit me up in Messenger or something, and sometimes you just need to talk or whatever.
yeah.
But anyway,
I hit you up in Messenger.
yes.
So.
I don't always answer right away, though.
Oh, that's because you work.
Yeah.
You work, and you're God knows where at any moment, right?
It's not personal.
I know.
But yeah. But thank you for that, and thank you for having me on, and thank you,
Thanks.
Carl, and everybody in the background, and thank you, audience, for listening, and everybody who was in the chat from abroad at 4 a.m. or whatever time it is over there.
Right?
Yeah, and for making this conversation possible, Rick McCallum, and everybody, Lori, love you too, and just everybody that. Everybody involved out there that
everybody
made
in
our
the
dreams
world
come true. Everybody, the whole world.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
and may God put his arms around the world and bring us all together too. Yeah, while we're doing this, let's just put that out there too. But I love you, Mikey.
I love you, Kat.
I appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me. And I'll have more videos ready to go if you ever want to do this again. So.
I always want to do this again. Get me those videos. Yeah. I will practice with your videos.
Yeah, so, I'm going to practice and get better at some stuff too. So
I'll practice and get better at my end of it so that we can have a full-blown Mikey show.
Awesome.
It'll be fun. So for everybody listening, thank you so much. If you are, if you're in Scotland, go to bed. Thank you for you for listening. Thank you for being here. Melinda, I'm just so fortunate to see you, and Paul. I mean, I got nothing but love for you guys. You're just fantastic. And we will see you next week. Same cat time, same cat channel. And I'm looking forward to that. I hope you're blessed. Go out and have a fantastic week. And don't forget, Fate Mag Radio, Fate Magazine. And you can subscribe. Just go to fatemag.com, just like the name of the show, and check it out. I will see y'all later. Good night, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Mikey.